Welcome, fellow exothermic enthusiasts. So today we're going to go ahead and make some really nice high performance whistle mix. Now you need whistle mix because, well, you want to make whistle rockets and you're going to want to make strobe rockets. Whistle mix is required for both of those devices, and making good whistle mix and knowing how to do it right is really important when it comes to the hobby of pyrotechnics. So today we're going to make a variation of standard sodium salicylate whistle mix, typically just referred to as Sally. Ben Smith of Firesmith Manufacturing has a video where he explains how to make benzoate based whistle mix, specifically potassium benzoate whistle mix. Sodium benzoate whistle mix can be made the same way. Instead of copper oxychloride, which is a catalyst he chose, you can also use red iron oxide. That's what we'll be using today for our sodium salicylate, because typically red iron oxide is used for Sally whistle mix. But anyway, in his preparation, he uses Vaseline, and then he has lacquer thinner that is in some warm water. And there's kind of some silliness that you don't have to indulge in. You don't have to be using that method. You also don't need like a hot plate if you're going to be, stabilizing whistle mix with. What we're going to do today is going to be with mineral oil. Typically, if it's paraffin wax, you need a hot plate, and then you have to heat your solvent and get the solvent hot enough in order to dissolve the paraffin wax. Now because we're not using wax or petroleum jelly, we don't have to heat our solvent. We're using mineral oil, and this, it can be diluted in the naphtha that we're going to be using at room temperature. It's most effective with naphtha. You can also use Coleman camp fuel and mineral spirits, but naphtha is the best for room temperature application. So anyway, let's get started. We want to make a 600 gram batch. Now we're going to need 25 parts sodium salicylate. So we're going to go 25 times 6. It's going to be 150. So we need an old blender like this one will do just fine. First we're going to process the sodium salicylate. So let's get that going. Ben mentions in his video where he makes whistle mix as well as strobe propellant that you don't want to mix anything together. Well, that's not necessarily true. You don't want to mix oxidizers with fuels in high percentage in a blender or mill unless you're talking about black powder or a composition with similar insensitivity to black powder. In the case of whistle mix, in order to get the best performance, you want to mix your fuel. In this case, it's going to be sodium salicylate with your catalyst, which is, in this case is going to be red iron oxide, for a bit in a mixing apparatus, whether that be a ball mill or a coffee blender if you're making a smaller batch, or if you don't mind it taking longer, or in this case just an old blender. So what we want to do is grab our sodium salicylate. We want to make a 600 gram batch, so we need 150 grams of the sodium salicylate. Sodium salicylate has kind of a nice sweet smell to it. It's used sometimes as a substitute for aspirin painkiller for people that have sensitivity to acetylsalicylic acid, which is aspirin. But anyway, we need 150 grams of this stuff. It's very fine and dusty, so it takes a while carefully measure it out. But this is going along pretty good, and we're already more than 100 grams. Right now we're up to 120, 130, 140, 150. Come on. And we are there. We got a little friend here, looks like a little spider, went ahead and joined us. He's on the table here. I don't think he's going to be in our way, but as you can see, he's right here. Yeah, he's under the scale. I don't think he's going to be a problem. It's whatever. But anyway, as you can see here, we have 150 grams of sodium salicylate. That is the whistle fuel part of our whistle mix. And because we can use it for whistle rockets, this whistle mix is also a whistle propellant. So you can call it either. Anyway, so 600 grams is what we're building. So for catalyst, because that's 1%, easy to figure out that we need 6 grams of catalyst for 600 grams of mix. Because when it comes to catalysts, typically 0.5 to 1% to 2% is what you're going to be working with. At the low end, 1.5% of a catalyst. General purpose end is going to be 1% of a catalyst, and for certain special applications, you can go up to 2% catalyst. Alright, so that is exactly 6 grams of red iron oxide. So we got 150 of the sodium salicylate and 6 of the red iron oxide. It's all in there. Turn off our scale. Go ahead and grab the lid here. Secure this onto the motor, and we're going to go pulse mode for a little bit. And if you're having issues with your, blender not really getting the, powder on the sides, it's kind of focusing on the stuff in the middle, just lift it up carefully like this and kind of twirl it as you pulse. Twirl it a bit like this, and it will resolve the issue. Check it out. Alright, so that is mixed quite well. We continued to press it on pulse mode. We didn't use any of the other settings. Most of these old blenders will come with pulse mode, so that should not be an issue. It seems to be mixed very well, but there's a little bit on the sides here that I'm going to kind of shake, reintroduce, smack a little bit the sides of this blender bottle. And then we'll go again one more time. Okay. That should be good. Looks nice. So this is really fast. It's way faster than if you are using a ball mill, or if you have a little tiny coffee grinder. That's really going to take a while to process this much at once. But if you have an old blender like this that you don't care for using for pyro, it's real fast and effective. So then what we will do, is there a spider still under there? Yes, he is. I don't want to really bother him. So then we'll go here, grab this, blow some of the crap out of our way here. Leave this container in a little bit. We'll get to that. So firstly, we're going to open that. If I have my lighter with me, I can show you the sodium ions from the sodium salicylate, and they'll burn orange. See that? Burns orange. Sodium ions. If this was potassium salicylate instead of sodium, it would be sort of a light purple color. Or if it was potassium benzoate. But anyway, what we do now is just add this into our mixing bowl. It's pretty, simple. Nothing too special about adding this. There'll be a little bit on the side walls, and you kind of just have to get that with a, like, what would be best is like a toothbrush, or a longer, like any kind of like brush in general, to get those sides cleaned out. I'll pause the video and I'll be right back once I get something decent for the job. Alright, so I have this. This is like a really big version of a rammer cleaner that would have came with some of the old tools from Firesmith. So this is very good for just easily cleaning the sidewalls of this glass container of the blender. So we're just going to make sure that we get, about 98% of it out. Kind of get some of it off the blades down there at the bottom. Looks pretty good, Add that back in. And yeah, that's very nice. We're not leaving much behind. That toothbrush is better for, tighter area that you're trying to clean out, such as the lid here of the blender. It's going to do a better job than this little brush, because we can get in there and be a little bit more meticulous with the old toothbrush. So it's always a good idea to sacrifice a couple old toothbrushes for the pyrotechnics endeavors. It's doesn't hurt to have some toothbrushes around that you use for dealing with compositions and cleaning compositions out of stuff. So yeah, nifty to have some toothbrushes around. Anyway, we do not want to mill any oxidizer directly with our fuel. However, what we can do is, there's so little fuel left in here now that we cleaned 98% of it out, if not more, that there isn't enough to, cause a problem with ignition if we go ahead and quickly mill up our oxidizer. And it's very beneficial that we do, because potassium perchlorate likes to get chunky. Whether or not it has anti-caking agent in it or not, it will get chunky. And typically it's very, very nice if you mill it first, because then you don't have these chunks that you're dealing with in your composition, which can give inconsistencies in performance. Anyway, scale is zeroed out, and we're going to go 72% potassium perchlorate, and for that we're going to times it by 6, because we're doing a 600 gram batch, so that is 432 grams. So here's our perchlorate. We need 432. That should be all of this bag and a little of that other one. So 432. So some sodium ions there contaminating, so you couldn't really see the light purple of the potassium very well, because potassium perchlorate in the air, if it is ionized by a flame, it will also produce a light lilac color, because of course of the potassium present. Anyway, we're going to go up to 432. We are at 317 right now. Okay, so we are at 435, and that's 3 grams more oxidizer. It's not really a big deal. I don't want to add back that extra 3 grams into our bag here. So yeah, 435 should just be fine. That extra 3 of potassium perchlorate is not going to make a significant difference, and it is negligible in nature. But yeah, if it was 432, that would have been exactly. So we got just an extra 3 grams of perchlorate in there that we didn't originally anticipate, but the difference is going to be negligible, because 3 is an awful small percent of 600. Anyway, let's pulse this for a little bit. Okay. It looks like a little bug got in there, but that is not really a big issue. We were able to get him out. So we have a 10 mesh screen here. We'll need that later for granulation. Spider left. That's cool. But anyway, that's going to be part 1 of getting this whistle mix made up. We're going to go now to the second part, where we subject it to granulation. And prior to granulation, we are going to introduce the stabilizing agent, which is going to be mineral oil, and I'm going to show how that's done, so you can get a good idea of exactly how it works. So part 2 coming soon.